Hare Krishna. Maybe you can keep it turned off for a second, just so that people can focus, and then we can. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Blue screen. Yeah, that's good. Amazing. Krishna tells in Gita, teṣāṁ satata-yuktānāṁ bhajatāṁ prīti-pūrvakam dadāmi buddhi-yogaṁ yena upayānti. If someone, so teṣāṁ is basically referring, teṣāṁ, those people. So to understand who are those people, and to go verse before, Krishna says, Machita matata pranaha bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So in that shloka, Krishna is telling, there are this set of people who are always keeping me in their heart, and they are in my heart always. I am their life and soul. They're always talking about me, and then like this, they're always deriving great pleasure and satisfaction. The shloka before, Krishna tells, Aham sarvasya prabhavaha mattaha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. That he is the cause, and he's the origin of entirety of creation. He's the master of everything. Everything emanates from him. Mattaha sarvam pravartate. And by understanding that, iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So the people who are intelligent with their heart, they come and they surrender to me. So it is these people Krishna is referring to. And for them, Krishna tells, he is the one who is giving buddhi yoga. Krishna gives buddhi yoga to those people who are understanding Krishna's position. They are always talking about Krishna, they're happy discussing about Krishna, they're deriving great satisfaction and happiness just by talking about Krishna. Today morning we were discussing how this actually is feasible, that you can actually love someone whom you don't know about. Usually it doesn't happen, right? Only in movies you see that. In Hollywood perhaps it's not that much, but in Bollywood is filled with this. A hero looks at the actress, or the actress looks at the actor, in the first, love is first sight. Just look at him, then they're like, but in real life this never happens. Like, how is it possible? You just look at somebody and love. Never possible. So love is a gradual affair. It's not a one instantaneous effect. So this love builds up. And we discussed in the morning today that if you want to love Krishna, you have to do a few things. Those who were there in the morning, can you please raise your hand and tell us what you need to do? Whoever it was there, please. I hope at least somebody was listening. If you need to love Krishna, if you want to love Krishna, what do you need to do? Yeah. Think about Krishna, talk about Krishna, share about Krishna. By doing these simple things, eventually you will start loving, and that's how love works. Right? We discussed from the story of Bharat Maharaj that Bharat Maharaj found this what? Black deer. He found the black deer, and then in the beginning it was about Krishna. He thought that this is, wow, the eyes resemble the eyes of Krishna. But then eventually, because it was a deer, and he started thinking about the deer, caring about the deer all the time, and then eventually from loving Krishna, he started loving deer. It's very simple. So we have this amazing process in which we can start learning about Krishna and then getting to know a little bit. And then the more you do it, eventually it can facilitate your own advancement in Krishna consciousness. In simplest terms, Krishna consciousness means to love Krishna. I need to love, and that's when I can be conscious. If I am not loving somebody or something, I can't be conscious of it. Prabhupada tells this, there's not an artificial imposition on the mind. Krishna consciousness is not artificial imposition. You know what is artificial imposition? Artificial imposition means, let's say I come today and then I that from tomorrow onwards, everybody start loving this microphone. Yeah, you need to love this microphone. Why? It amplifies the voice. Good proposition? Is a good proposal for you? How do you think about this? Is it good? You need to love this microphone. You can utilize this microphone, but to love it is perhaps, it's artificial then, right? How can you love this microphone? What can it do? Only when if you're speaking, singing, maybe helpful that time, but what about the rest of the times? Yeah. And then you have to love this microphone. How does it feel? Anusha, how does it feel for you if you need to love this microphone? This is the object of your worship. Your whole life you need to think about it. It's very artificial, right? So, but Krishna consciousness or loving Krishna is not artificial to the mind. It is not, because there is a structure to the entire existence. How our existence is working, there is a structure there. We are not just random living entities. The science, modern science, let's clarify it, the way they explain the entirety of creation is it's all just a random chance. Right? Just random chaos going on, just a chance theory. I'll just speak 2 minutes on physics and maths of it, and then we'll switch back to Gita and Bhagavatam. So in statistics, for something to be a random event, let's say you have a dice with you, you throw the dice. How many of us played the dice in the kids' dice games? So they marked 1 to 6, right? At least that's what I have played. Some are also 1 to 8. And then you can't really predict, right? What is the outcome? You throw the dice, it's 1 or 3 or 5 or 6, you don't know. So if it's a fair dice, all the outcomes are equally probable, right? So that's the definition of a random event, that you can't predict. There is no pattern that, first is 3, second is 5. You can't really put a pattern there. So all 1 to 6 have equal possibility of showing up. That's called as a random event. Now, for the entire creation to be random, then you need to be able to then actually observe this randomness. Let's just take this room. How many in this room want to get COVID tomorrow and suffer I'm just sweating and I can't get up. I just want to suffer tomorrow. How many? I just want to just lie on the bed, just 104 degree fever. Just I can't taste it. I don't want to taste anything. I just want to just keep lying and just sweating. And how many?
Just you.
I'm just helping if somebody wants. I don't want, of course, but if someone wants, I don't want also myself. But I'm just trying to say, if someone wants to raise the hand, seems like nobody wants. Let's say you go out and on the street, ask the same question. How many you think will raise the hand? Let's say you ask everybody in Berlin. How many of you are really wanting to tomorrow morning I get fever, I get some horrible disease and it's just suffer? How many will want this?
No one.
Maybe very less people. Yeah, big Berlin is your friends people are actually wanting to do this, but let's say 99.9% of the population don't want to do this. Let's say you take the entire world's population, you ask the same question. So there are 8 billion people on earth now. So you ask this question. So you may find some more sample size of people who are no, I don't want to suffer tomorrow. But then very small proportion, majority, again 99.99% population, no, I don't. I just want to do what? I don't want to suffer, but I want to enjoy. Yes? It's common desire, right? Include dogs also there. Start including mosquitoes and ants and elephants. And let's say you can talk with their language and ask them, what do you want to do? Do you want to suffer or enjoy? What will the answer? Now you include all the living entities, all different species also you include. And ask this question, what do you want to do in life? You want to suffer or you want to enjoy? What's the answer?
Enjoy.
Enjoy, right? You have seen ant carrying a grain of sugar on its head? How many of us seen ants crawling and carrying sugar? You know why they are carrying the sugar?
Because they like it.
Okay, because they like it.
Intoxication.
Intoxication, yeah. Sugar intoxication, yes. Addicted to sugar. Getting diabetes maybe. But they want to enjoy that sugar, right? And that's the reason they are carrying it, thinking that this is mine. So now entirety of world's population, including other species of life, majority of them, not just majority but 99.9% of them have this common desire. How can you tell this is a random event? Wow. You know, if it was a random event, half of this room should have been telling me that no, I want to suffer tomorrow. So that's the meaning of equally likely possibility. Half of the world's population should tell me, I want to suffer tomorrow. Half of the other species also need to tell, I want to suffer. I don't want to enjoy, I want to suffer. So when majority is skewed in one direction, it is really not the case of randomness. So there is a structure. And we're going to study that structure a little bit. Understand a little bit of philosophy. I can open this thing now and put the verse which we are going to discuss. Prabhu is going to connect. Put the shloka? Yes. Is it visible to everyone? Let's recite. This is from Katha Upanishad. Prabhupada quotes this quite a lot in Gita. This is Katha Upanishad. Katha Upanishad, just to give a little bit of background, is a story of a boy called as Nachiketa. And Nachiketa is the son of a Brahmana. And this Brahmana was addicted to performing yena sacrifices just for namesake. He wanted to just, for the namesake of performing yena, he would perform, and then in the part of yena ceremony is you give donation, you give charity. And then this Brahmana would just find useless things. The cows who have already are really old, about to die, those kind of cows he would give in charity. And the boy, whose name is? Nachiketa. He is so frustrated looking, what is my father doing? And he's just a small boy. But he was like, what is he, why is he doing this kind of charity? So he goes and asks, at least give me on charity. At least I'm a small boy, I can be useful, I'll eventually grow up and then I can be useful for someone. So he asks, whom do you give me as charity? And father is just, look, go away. And boy asks again, whom do you give me as charity? And father again pushes him on. And third time he asks, what does he ask? Whom do you give me as charity? The father is so frustrated now. He tells, I'll give you to death. And the boy just falls dead. Then goes to the abode of Yamaraj. But he was not scheduled to die as such. He is sent to Yamaraj now as charity. Right? So he's just waiting. Yamaraj was not there, and Yamaraj comes after 3 days. And when Yamaraj came, it's like, oh wow, you're a Brahmana, you're here on my door, you're waiting for me for 3 days, I'll give you 3 boons. Ask. And Nachiketa said, please give some proper discriminative ability and proper rational intelligence and a heart to my father. And then for the next 2 questions, he asked this very philosophical, like, who am I? Can you give me some answers about this? Who am I? And then third question was, tell me what's the ultimate destination? Where exactly a living entity can find the absolute shelter? Where can it go? Is there a place? So this forms the crux of Katha Upanishad. Anyway, that's the background. So this is in conversation. Yamaraj is telling. It's an analogy. Yeah. So you need to understand this is an analogy. Perhaps you have seen this picture in Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. If you have read Bhagavad Gita as it is, you have seen the picture. If you have read carefully, you also perhaps have seen the verse. What's this recite? atmanam rathinam viddhi.
atmanam rathinam viddhi.
Sariram rathameva cha.
Sariram rathameva cha.
Buddhim tu sarathim viddhi.
Buddhim tu sarathim viddhi.
Manah pragrahameva cha.
Manah pragraham cha.
Indriyani hayan ahur.
Indriyani hayan ahur.
Visayams tesu gocaran.
Visayams tesu gocaran.
Atmendriya-mano-yuktam.
Atmendriya-mano-yuktam.
Bhoktety ahur manisinah.
Bhoktety ahur manisinah.
Can someone read the translation, please? Just whoever, shout out.
The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinking.
Clear? So, imagine now there's this picture of the chariot, very nice pictorial representation in Bhagavad Gita as it is. See the horses, so there is a chariot to begin with. Yeah. Maybe you have seen chariot. If you have not seen, here is a chariot. Yeah. The chariot has 5 horses, and these 5 horses are compared to the 5 senses. Yeah. Ears, tongue, nose, eyes, and skin. Right? 5 horses, 5 senses. The horses are also tied to the chariot through the reins. That's one attachment. They also are connected to the body of the chariot. Yeah, that's how the chariot is made. So there is the horses are tied to the chariot. The body is tied to the chariot's body, and there is reins which help control the direction of horses. Yeah. So this shloka is telling atmanam rathinam viddhi. Atma, who you are, is rathi. So ratha is the chariot. Rathi is the traveler, the passenger. Yeah. That's atma. Sariram rathameva cha. The body which we have is the ratha. Buddhim tu sarathim viddhi. The sarathi, rathi and sarathi. Sarathi is the he is the one accompanying rathi. Sarathi, who is the driver of the chariot. That's buddhi. Manah pragraham cha. The ropes which are tying the horses, and the other end of the ropes are in the hands of the chariot driver. That is manah, mind. Yeah. Indriyani, hayan, ahur. All the senses are the horses. Visayams, tesu, gocaran. Vishaya means the sense objects. The senses are basically their vision is outside, right? You see, what do you see? Outside. Yeah. You hear what? Outside. You don't hear voices of inside, right? Your heart is making a noise. Your stomach is making noise, but in general, you don't hear that. And you have to focus sort of, let me just hear a little bit. But then also it's not fully clear. So the senses are directed outside, and that's what you consume. Right? Visayams tesu gocaran. And in this combination, this is how, with the indriyas, and the senses and the mind, Atma is basically traveling and is undergoing different experiences. So that's our structure. This is how the structure is made. So we can see this picture one last time, and then we put the covering to the projector again so that we can focus on hearing. Okay? If you want to see it one last time, we turn off the projector. Put that black thing. Yes, simple. Very good. Remember now, there are a few different elements here, right? So can somebody just shout out what you just saw? There are horses which are senses. Then chariot is the body. Then chariot driver is buddhi. Yeah. Then the ropes are Ropes is mind, yes. Then passenger. Atma is the passenger. Now, in this whole setup, if this needs to work properly, what is the most important aspect of this? Buddhi. Why? Because it pulls the rope. What happens if it doesn't pull the rope? Senses will go wild and okay, and okay, they will fall down. Okay, he is nicely tucked in, but eventually he will fall apart. What else? Where is the destination? Who decides destination? If buddhi is not strong, mind decides. Mind is the rope. Can rope decide destination? Who decides? There are only two people who can decide destination here, right? Either the senses decide or buddhi decides, right? Mind. What is the role of mind? One end of the mind is tied to the horses. The other end is in the hand of buddhi. Yeah. So mind is very agile element. It is not very difficult to handle this. So either our life's journey is being carried out by our senses or is driven by buddhi. And buddhi is not intelligence. It's of course translated like that, but it's not just intelligence. This is not the intelligence which is used in constructing skyscrapers or spaceships. Now we can go to Mars also. No, that's not buddhi. How many of us have seen spiders? Spiders. How many of us have seen spider webs? Yeah, I've seen spider webs. How many of us think that if you are let alone just by yourselves, maybe even if you have a PhD, that you can actually construct a spider's web, which is fully functional, which is just you are producing the threads also yourself. Yeah, spider produces the thread by itself, and then flies whatever is flying. It is this web is so nice. It's providing the shelter, providing the food also, because some other insects they fly in, then web captures it, and then spider goes and eats it. Yeah. So you think this is intelligence? It is intelligence, but this is not buddhi. Yeah. It's intelligence, but that's not buddhi. Because let's first go back to what we are doing. We construct skyscrapers, spaceships, houses, cars, all these things. Is this buddhi? It's not buddhi. This is basically all these activities which we are doing are targeted towards, as we were discussing in the morning, ahara, nidra, hayan, maithuna. If our activities are also targeted only towards ahara, nidra, hayan, maithuna, that means buddhi is not in effect. We were discussing in the morning, if somebody has a Benz or a BMW, but is eating dust, it's as good as having no BMW or Benz, right? You just have a car in your house, it's just eating dust. You never use it. The resultant value of it is you don't have it, right? So similarly in our existence, if we don't use buddhi for the things which is supposed to be used for, it's as good as we are not using it. So Srimad Bhagavatam tells, dharmasya hi apavargasya narthorthaya upakalpate narthasya dharmaikantasya kamolabhaya hi smritaha. That if someone is performing activities, if those activities are targeted towards only animalistic tendencies, which are eating, mating, sleeping, defending, then that is just, it's a sense gratification basically. This is not the purpose of human life. So purpose of human life needs to be understood with this example now here. What's going on in our case is buddhi is more or less sleeping. It is just lying down. Senses see objects, they drive us crazy wherever they like, right? And mind just follows senses. And Atma is just lost. So in that combination, what happens eventually is that this particular chariot is not good enough. One more chariot is given. That chariot eventually also goes bad. Another chariot is given. So like this, a living entity is just going round and round and round in circles. And when you get a form which looks like how we are, there is at least a possibility in which you can actually use this instrument called as buddhi. There is a possibility. You can start asking the question, not the question of how will I find my food, shelter, how will I protect my bank balance. That's, other species are called as pashu, they are also asking these questions. But their buddhi is sleeping. It is just absolutely turned off. We were discussing in the morning today, if our Nilambara Prabhu goes and starts preaching towards a tiger and preaches to the tiger, please become a vegan. It's not good. You should practice some dharma. Don't eat animals. And preaching, heavily preaching to a tiger. Tiger is, until tiger is not hungry, it will never attack. Right? Tiger doesn't just comes and attacks. And eventually tiger will become hungry, and then all the preaching will have an amazing effect. So tiger has its a Saturday feast, right in front of preaching. So because it just cannot think, right? So buddhi in this species, other species are just turned off. They can't think really. But this form of life can actually trigger buddhi. And the moment you start triggering buddhi feels, oh wow, I also have a task. I can do something. What can I do? I can pull the horses. But then for that you need to feed something to buddhi. Buddhi is so weak right now. It is like so absolutely weak. It has no strength to even get up and, oh my God, I can't do this. So we think that, oh no, mind is doing this and that, but mind is really not doing anything. It's just that buddhi is sleeping. That's what is our situation right now. If we can awaken the buddhi, and that's why Krishna tells in 2nd chapter Gita, back and forth, again and again and again, Krishna is using this term, buddhi-yoga, buddhi-yoga, buddhi-yoga. So many times Krishna uses the word buddhi-yoga. And Prabhupada translates this word buddhi-yoga as Krishna consciousness. And many Sanskrit scholars, they have a problem with Prabhupada. Like, how can Krishna is telling buddhi-yoga, you are telling Krishna consciousness. But then Prabhupada is basically skipping a few steps and just giving conclusion, because that's what is the meaning of it. Yoga means union. Buddhi-yoga means buddhi is in union with Krishna. Your buddhi is having a connection with Krishna. And we discussed in the beginning of the class today a verse where Krishna tells, dadāmi buddhi-yogaṁ tam. And Krishna is telling, I will give that buddhi-yoga to you. Yena upayānti, using which you will come to me. So you need Krishna's help to go to Krishna. So, teṣāṁ satata-yuktānāṁ, bhajatāṁ, prīti-pūrvakam. If you are doing loving devotion service to Krishna, Krishna is going to give you that buddhi-yoga, dadāmi buddhi-yogaṁ tam. Yena upayānti, utilizing which you will come to me. And Srimad Bhagavatam gives amazingly different descriptions of how actually Krishna did this in so many different instances. When buddhi is, so first thing is for us, we need to get the buddhi active a little bit. We need to start utilizing it. We're not even using it now. It has to be used first, and then has to be connected with Krishna. Like something like we were telling in the morning. First we need to become conscious and then become Krishna conscious. So first we need to start exercising buddhi. Let's use it. Buddhi, how do we use it then? Mind, our senses are telling, I don't want to read this Bhagavatam Gita. No, you empower buddhi. No, let me actually study. Just pick it up and start studying Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Just let your intellectual ability be purified. Get some food. It needs food. Now listen to the great sages. consuming prasadam, these things empower buddhi. And then it can also actually stand up and then start pulling the reins. Mind in itself doesn't have really any much say here. Either is driven by senses or driven by buddhi. Very simple, right? So in our situation right now, buddhi is almost turned off. So that's why Kali Yuga Vasis are called as almost Pashus. They're not really not, because they're not using buddhi. Right? So in Srimad Bhagavatam we see how amazing people reactions are. For example, when Arjuna was coming from Dwaraka, he was bringing these 16,000 wives of Krishna and wealth of Dwaraka. He was bringing it back to Hastinapura because of Krishna's final instruction. And when he was coming on the road, he was attacked by forest dwellers. You know the story? Arjuna is bringing all Krishna and Balaram, they all left the Atli Leela. And Krishna had told Uddhava that Arjuna will come. Please tell him that he can do this one final service to me. He can take all these principal wives, were already gone anyways, but all the remaining 16,000 ones, and then the wealth of Dwaraka, he can take it back to Hastinapura because there is going to be a flood in the ocean in a week. So before that, Arjuna needs to transport everything from Dwaraka to Hastinapura. So Arjuna has got the final service from Krishna, right, to say in Krishna's Bhavan. And Arjuna is transporting everything, and in the forest he was attacked by forest dwellers, and he is traveling from Dwaraka to Hastinapur. And Arjuna takes his Gandiva bow, and he's known for it, this having this Gandiva, right? If he would just pull the string and make the string vibrate, people who are having faint heart, they would get heart attack. That was the power of Gandiva. This bow which Arjuna had, if he would just pull the string, not even arrow, nothing, just pulls the string and then make the string vibrate, the kind of sound it would produce, if somebody is faint-hearted, they would just get heart attack. So powerful person. He takes his Gandiva. He has quivers which have, they were never exhausting. Every time he wants, there is an arrow ready there. It would just appear. Takes, wants to shoot. He shoots. The arrow just falls in the feet of Arjuna. So if someone is not a Krishna conscious person, this can create a trauma experience. Like, oh my God, what happened? I'm the best archer in the entire creation. Just at least in my mind, just a few moments ago, and I have picked my instrument. I want to shoot. Arrow is just falling. Arjuna was such an amazing archer from the beginning of his life. When he understood that my skills is good in archery, he never slept. He wouldn't sleep. Whole night he's just practicing. This is the sort of person we are talking about. And this guy shoots an arrow and just falls. And Srimad Bhagavatam brings this amazing reaction of Arjuna. Like, what is this person doing? Because he's not just buddhi active, he's in buddhi yoga. His buddhi then tells him, yeah, this is how life was. It was never your power, Arjuna. See, Krishna tells in Gita, I am the ability in man. You have read this Gita? Verse, Krishna tells in Gita, I am the ability in man. And of course, man also includes basically any living entity is basically humans or whoever. Krishna tells it's because of him the ability is coming. We have the abilities to do what? To speak, to hear, to smell, to talk, to experience whatever. All these abilities ultimately is because of Krishna. So Arjuna gets that as the realization at that point of time. It was anyway because of Krishna. That's the meaning of buddhi-yogaṁ. That your buddhi is not just awake and active, it's actually in union with Krishna. And only when Krishna is pleased with someone's service and loving devotional service, Krishna is going to award that. let's take, and of course he goes back. He's not frustrated. He's not depressed. He's not going to take a therapy for it. I mean, oh my God, like I don't know what's going on in my life. I'm just so frustrated. I was the best archer until yesterday. I just don't know how to shoot now. Right? People can get into this. It's a trauma experience. If you think for yourself, I think many of us are like IT engineers or whatever. You imagine, you just look at your laptop and like, what is this? I don't know how to type or whatever. I don't know how this operates. And you also know that until yesterday I was like, oh wow, I was a programmer. I used to use this, but now you don't know. So if we feel this kind of experiences, we may feel frustrated. But then Arjuna showed how a devotee who is in buddhi yoga actually functions. Let's take one more example. The story of Chitraketu Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam. Chitraketu Maharaj was not having any children to begin with. He kept marrying. He was putting his best efforts. I want a child, I want a child, I want a child. So he married Katha Upanishad. Didn't get a child. Okay, I'll try second wife. Third, fourth, fifth. He married 10 million wives. 10 million is not a cooked up number. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam does. He married absolutely 10 million. Can you imagine? So, 10 million women and still no children, no child. And then Angira Muni comes and Chitraketu is like so sad. I'm just sad. Why? I just can't get a son. I want a son. And Angira Muni could see that this guy doesn't have this bhagya, he's not there for son. But then Chitraketu is like, oh, I really want a son. Please, can you give me a son? Please, please. And then Angira is like, sure, okay. I'll bless. You will get a son, and please name him as Harshashoka. And then Angira Muni goes, and then eventually this boy is born. It's a huge story. 6th canto Srimad Bhagavatam cut short so that we can get to the essence of it. Eventually the son is loved by the king so much, and he just started spending all his time with just one wife, and rest 9,999,999 wives are really unhappy. Previously it was total democracy. Nobody has a son. Now it's a skewed situation. One lady has a son, 9,999,999 people don't have. And then the king is just with one person. Because usually every queen used to have their own palaces, and then the baby is of course with the mother, and the king is of course with the baby, and which means the king is always with the queen, just one queen. So rest of the queens just made a plot. They killed the boy by poisoning, and that time Chitraketu was like, my God, like what's going on? Like this son was so beautiful, and he just continues to faint and gets up and cries, and the whole drama. And eventually Angira Muni and Narada Muni come, and then Narada Muni made the dead boy to speak, and the dead boy was like, I don't know who am I, why have you brought me here? Who are these people? I don't know these people. I'm living some other life now. I don't know which life they were my parents. And when Chitraketu heard that statement, buddhi became jagrita. Right? That's what happens. There's a click. Wow, what is it then? Who am I then? I need to understand who am I. So he surrenders to Narada Muni, and Narada Muni gives him a method with which he could connect with Krishna. He gives the method, okay, you should worship Sankarshana, and I'm giving you a process. So within a matter of a couple of weeks, Chitraketu is so perfect that he is sitting face to face with Sankarshana. And Sankarshana gave him, Sankarshana Bhagavan is the expansion of Balram. And Sankarshana is so pleased with Chitraketu that he gives him an aeroplane. Take this, keep going wherever you like, you can travel anywhere. And Chitraketu was traveling in this for millions of years, he's just traveling everywhere. And one day he happened to see Lord Shiva giving Srimad Bhagavatam, speaking on being austere, sense-controlled. And Chitraketu saw Lord Shiva and he said, wow, you're having Parvati on your lap and you're speaking to all these great saints about renunciation and austerity. So Chitraketu laughed. And Mother Parvati took it extremely offensively. She said, how can you laugh at Lord Shiva? So she calls him, Vatsa, come here. My dear son, please come here. You are not qualified to be an associate of Sankarsana. I'm cursing you that you go and become a blood-drinking Rakshasa. And that's when we see the heart of a devotee. Chitraketu Prabhupada writes in the purport, Chitraketu could have counter-cursed. He could have told, are you cursing me? Really? I'll curse you also. You go and become something else. He could have done that. But then Chitraketu, okay mother, I accept. So that's the meaning of somebody who is not just having buddhi active, but buddhi is in union with Krishna, and that's what is the heart of bhakti. We see the heart of bhakti. We just accept, okay, fine. You are calling me as your son, I accept you as my mother. Yes, you are deciding a punishment for me, I accept. Let's take another situation where Parikshit Maharaj is cursed. Parikshit was, this is a classic incident. He becomes aloof from his group. Now he's thirsty and hungry and then enters this hermitage, ashram of Shamik Rishi. I know I'm telling a lot of names. We'll perhaps do a quick recap at the end just to make sure you remember some of the things. So, and when Parikshit entered, Shamik Rishi was just deeply lost in meditation, and Parikshit was like so disappointed. I'm the emperor, I'm the samrat of this earth, but this guy is not even welcoming. So then in disgust he's walking away, and then he sees a dead snake. He just throws it towards Shamik Rishi, goes and falls on the neck of Shamik Rishi in disgust. How many of us see cricket here? Game? Cricket? You can be honest, it's okay. How many of us know Virat Kohli? Okay, many people know Virat Kohli. I don't know if you have seen, if Virat Kohli gets out on first ball, duck, the kind of reaction she gives. So, in disgust, right? Parikshit is in disgust, he just throws this. And then while going back, he's praying to Krishna that I did such an inauspicious thing. This is not what I'm supposed to do. I really pray to you, Krishna. Just give me a reaction right now. I don't want to postpone the reactions for whatever activity I have just done. Just give it to me right now. I want to accept it right now. So when he received the news that you're cursed to die in 7 days, Parikshit is happy. Amazing. I'll use this time now. Go and get the perfection of life. This is the meaning of buddhi-yoga. That someone's buddhi is actually driven in association with Krishna. It's not just one's own life's quest which is driving, but Krishna is in association with buddhi. Krishna is the one who is giving that sort of amazingly beautiful rational intelligence which is driving one's existence. Prabhupada also tells Parikshit could have counter-cursed the boy. How can you curse me? I'll curse you back. So, this buddhi is that which made Draupadi forgive Ashwatthama. Please forgive him. This is the buddhi which made Arjuna to, this is the story behind, and when they had caught Ashwatthama, and then there were two parties in Pandava's camp. Yudhishthira and Draupadi were telling, forgive Ashwatthama. Bhima was telling, kill him. And Krishna tells to Arjuna, you take care of it, make sure everybody is happy. Yeah. So externally, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you take care. Make sure everybody is happy. And one person is telling kill him, other person is telling forgive him. How will you make both of them happy? Kill half. Just cut hands maybe, right? Half kill. No. So Arjuna just shaved off head of Ashwatthama in a way that it was humiliating. And for Kshatriya, humiliation is worse than death. So as such he was not killed, but still killed. So this sort of behavior which comes out from the devotees, in this is classic statement. Krishna is outside, he is telling something that you do it, but then from inside, because he is the one who is actually driving. Prabhupada actually writes about it in the case of Yudhishthira after the Mahabharata war. In the beginning of Mahabharata war, Arjuna was in depression. Right? I don't want to fight, I don't want to fight. I don't want to kill all these people. And Krishna counseled Arjuna, and then Arjuna accepted and then started fighting. End of battle, Yudhishthira is in depression. Right? Because of me, 600 million people died because they were doing final rites of everyone, and then Yudhishthira just breaks down and Krishna is counseling Yudhishthira, and Yudhishthira just doesn't seem to get the point. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, how is it possible? Right? Like Krishna is trying to convince someone and the person is not getting convinced. How is it possible, right? Because Krishna is, if Krishna is supreme absolute truth, if Krishna is, he can do anything, whatever, which is there, he has supreme will, he is the Paramatma, how is it possible that he is trying to convince Yudhishthira and Yudhishthira is just not getting convinced? So Prabhupada writes in the purport that this is possible only when Krishna is externally, he is trying to tell to Yudhishthira, but internally he is just not letting Yudhishthira get convinced. So Krishna is driving Yudhishthira's buddhi in a different direction. No, don't get convinced. Why? Because Krishna wanted Yudhishthira to go and talk with Bhishma afterwards. He wanted Bhishma to be glorified. So he takes all the Pandavas to Bhishma, and then Bhishma started speaking to Yudhishthira, and then Yudhishthira is convinced. That's the meaning of buddhi-yoga. So Krishna is actually driving from within. He is. This is the heart of bhakti. This is how you actually can know that Krishna is involved in devotees' lives actively. Either way, sometimes encouraging, in very rare cases, just not letting the person do it. So I would like to give a pause there and see how things are going. How is it so far? Are you able to connect with what I'm trying to present? Yeah? Anybody who wants to just share what you're feeling, or any quick questions or comments? You can just raise your hand and just shout if you want to say something. Somebody is raising the hand there. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
How do we understand whether the voice coming from within, like sometimes, or is it Krishna's voice, or is it my own mind?
Very good. Because Dhritarashtra also kept saying in his whole life, if you know Mahabharata, then you also know Dhritarashtra. He is the father of Duryodhana and the rest of 99 kids. So he also kept saying in his whole life that it's Krishna's will. I don't have any control. People used to come and tell Dhritarashtra that, why are you troubling these Pandavas? Let them live. They're such nice people. Why don't you coexist? And Dhritarashtra is like, yeah, I want to, but it's Krishna's will that my son behaves like this. Right? So it's a good question. Many of, like in the morning also we were discussing that you may think that it's Krishna's desire, I need to get a new iPhone. It's really, the voice is so strong. Krishna is really inspiring me to get this new iPhone. how do you decide? Is it really Krishna's voice? Is it just your own senses driving you crazy? What is this? How do you decide? So to begin with, in our situation, Prabhu, you need to have a mentor. You need to be able to cross-check. It's a bit risky affair to go with senses in our situation, or to make a conclusion that this is Krishna's voice. So in our situation, we need to have a mentor, somebody with whom we can actually go and ask. Right? So in temple, you have Janita Prabhu. If there is something which is coming up, you're not sure whether it's Krishna's voice or not, it's easy. Just go and ask. Is it favorable or not favorable? What do you think? Yeah. That's safer for us. Is it making sense? Because you may be right, you may be wrong. The cost of when you're if it's a wrong judgment is just too much. Yeah. You keep thinking your whole life that Krishna is guiding me, when your senses are driving you crazy. Yeah. Is that making sense? So bhakti is an active process. You need to have guidance. Can't be just. We discussed that in the morning also today, right? If someone is just doing by themselves, even if it is the case of Bharat Maharaj, being alone was the single most problematic situation in his life, because there was no guidance. We were discussing if Vaibhav Prabhu was there sitting next to Bharat Maharaj, he would have gone, Bharat Maharaj. Yes, it's good that you protected this deer. I got remembering of Krishna by looking at this black deer, eyes of deer, but it's protected now already. You have given its life. Now let's get back to our sadhana. Yeah, you would do that, right? If your friend. Right? So it's an active process. You need to be having some sort of companionship, a mentorship, somebody who is actually looking after you, a good friend or a good mentor, and then you can always use them as a sounding board. My mind is telling this. Is this? What do you think? Yeah. Next question is, Prabhu, how do I find my mentor? Life will, if you sincerely are asking this question, right, life will provide you a mentor. Okay. The next question is, Prabhu, how do I be sincere? Just become sincere. It's okay. Is it fine? You want to ask something else? Maybe you can think about it and come back to me later. This Prabhu has something to say. You can pass the mic maybe. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your wonderful lecture.
Thank you.
I would like to know, you explain about buddhi. This is, I would say, spiritual intelligence. And what is this intelligence called to create a skyscraper or a spider net?
Yeah, it's that's intelligence, of course, but is not really functioning the way it is supposed to be functioning. That facility is also there with other species of life. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Like a spider's web, that is still targeted towards eating, mating, sleeping, defending, basic necessities of life. It is not targeted towards higher quests of human life. The point which I was trying to make is that it is not that just because we are constructing skyscrapers and spaceships and things that we are advanced form of life. No. Right? Because you want to construct a spider's web, you need you need to understand structure of materials, strength of materials, where to hang, so that you can actually sustain this structure and capture other insects. You need a lot of rational intelligence there, right? So if a human is also using this sort of infrastructure in just figuring out the answers of eating, mating, sleeping, defending, that's basically being a lower species of life. And the real utilization of buddhi comes when you ask the question, who am I? So that's why the whole human life is characterized by jijñāsa, athato brahma jijñāsa. So jijñāsa means a deep desire to know. So the first Vedanta Sutra is athato brahma jijñāsa. So therefore, become inquisitive, deeply inquisitive about who you are. So that's the first step. And that's where real buddhi is being used now. Our buddhi is used for the real purpose. Yeah. So if I am not using it for this anything else other than that, let's put it like that. Let's say I just don't ask this question: who am I? How entire world population is living in Kali Yuga. And that's why these sages in Naimisharanya were so concerned. So the first chapter they tell to Sutta Goswami that this Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, the sages tell to the sage Sutta Goswami that Kali Yuga is going to come and the people in general are going to be manda sumanda matayaha manda bhagya upaditaha. That manda sumanda mati, right? So this is the intelligence is so dumb, it's superlatively dumb. So one thing is not having it, second is having it but not utilizing it, and utilizing it for lower purposes for life. And that's what we do. Like if someone, coming back to the example of bends I was giving, if someone doesn't have bends, okay fine. If someone has bends but still is living like, I don't have a bends, stupid, right? So that's the situation of Kali Yuga Vasis, that it looks like, or we behave as if we are very advanced. We use our intelligence to very complex things, but it's not really the utilization of buddhi. It's the other way around. We are using it for purposes which are also found in other species. So the shloka which I quoted in Bhagavatam, dharmasya hi apavargasya. The next shloka of that is kamasya nindriya pritir-labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jijnasa natho yascha karmabhi. So the only purpose of human life is become jijnasa for tattva. Who you are, who is Krishna, the tattva, fundamental truths of life. So one has to be able to ask these questions. Otherwise, I am asking questions, I'm inquisitive, but my inquisitiveness is targeted towards ahara, nidra, bhaya, mithuna. That's where it's targeted towards. So, and in achieving those, I don't really need a sophisticated environment. I can find it in any species of life. So this form of life, and I'm almost not using what I have been given. Yeah? Does it make sense?
Yes, thank
Sure.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Can I ask a second question?
Let's see if someone else has anything. Otherwise, I'll come back to you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Anybody else want to? Okay, there is someone there.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu, for beautiful class. I have a question in this regard. The photo that we see, the chariot, and it is compared to the human body. So the chariot is human body, the senses are the horses, and the reins are the mind, and the chariot driver is the intelligence, buddhi, and there is the one sitting is the soul. So it compares completely the gross body also as well as the subtle body, but where is false ego comes in this?
In this analogy, false ego is not there. So that is not, as I said in the beginning, this is an analogy. So in this analogy, false ego is not represented. It's just not there. Okay. Perhaps in some other scripture, maybe there is a different analogy with also including false ego. But yeah, in this one, it's not described. Okay. Hare Krishna. Yes. Anyone else? No? So we come back to you, Prabhu. You can get the mic back.
My question is not so much related to your lecture. Can I still ask?
Yeah, please go ahead. Nobody else is asking so.
So I'm thinking about the argument from atheists. Says that everything is an accident, it's randomly, and we think it's not intelligent because nothing can be accident and we have a perfection like this.
Yeah.
But they say if there is unlimited space and time, it's actually also rational that on some point of this eternity, the situation which we are seeing can be.
That's why I asked you a very simple situation wherein asking people what is that which they are desiring. This is, if someone thinks that this is random, they really don't understand. Forget, Gita and Vedic literature, they don't understand what is statistics. It cannot be that the entirety of population is having one desire that I want to enjoy. How can this be random? Right? At least let's say, forget 50-50, even if it is, let's say, 90-10, then maybe there is at least some validity to this theory. Right? This is the situation wherein almost all of it, including other forms of life, they have this single most important thing in their heart. I want to enjoy. How is it possible? Right? Not just humans, forget humans. Everyone else, include all the species. Every single species having this core desire. I want to enjoy. How can this be random? So you may start hypothesizing, eternal space and eternal time, and then you need to also then start going everywhere else and start collecting data from there. So let's do it as an experiment. Right? We are ready for that experiment. Let's do it. Right? And then I don't have the access. Fine, then at least let's do the experiment what we have the access for that. Right? So statistically, it's not a valid statement. This is a skewed population. Everybody is thinking the same thing. How can it be random? Right? There has to be something which is common to life then. And that common thread is that anandamayo-bhyasa, that every single living entity has this desire deep within, I want to be blissful. Because that's coming from Krishna. Living entities are part and parcels of Krishna, and it is just that we are trying to find that happiness in the wrong place right now, because of which we suffer. Yeah. So that's my take on it. Not sure if you are.
Thank you, it's very much satisfying.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Share anything? Yes, Prabhu. Thanks for coming, Prabhuji.
It's a pleasure. I was thinking now about Raghav Prabhu's question about where is the ego, and I don't know, it just came to my mind, so maybe you have more knowledge. So I was thinking maybe it like the self, if the people are in ignorance, the self is also there, but it's covered. So if we don't use the intelligence properly and the mind is controlled through the intelligence, then maybe the self is covered with this, or not covered, or is in this state of false ego. So that was my thinking. So, I don't
We
know
can
if you could
tell
see
that.
it like this.
We can tell that Atma is sort of having it, as the identity sort of. Ego is basically the identity, right? Ahankara is like what exactly you identify yourself with. We could identify ourselves with the Laukika Prakriti part of that. This is what I am, or I'm servant of Krishna. So in that respect, perhaps we can, but still, the point remains that false ego is actually an element of Prakriti. Krishna tells in Gita, Bhumi rapo nalo vayu kham manah buddhi-yogaṁ ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakriti-rashtadha. Krishna actually categorizes ahankara as an element of Prakriti. So there are 8 elements, just like earth, water, fire, air, ether, panchamahabhutas, and then Krishna does manah, kham, mana, buddhi, ahankara. So mind, intelligence, ego is being, or false ego has been characterized as an element of Prakriti, which is missing in this. So of course we can try to extrapolate from it, but as it is not directly mentioned where it sits in this whole.
So now it's more complicated for me, because the self, what is the self then? I mean, the self is just a servant of Krishna.
Yes, Atma is the servant of Krishna.
Yeah, this is what we know. But when there is no ego, then...
No, ego is always there. It's always there. The question is, where is it directed towards? Is it directed towards matter or towards spiritual existence, right?
Yeah, but this is all through the intelligence. Is it directed, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's why I said with this example we can extrapolate how it could fit into, but it's not directly mentioned. That's what I'm trying to say. We can extrapolate, like how you're saying, that when the buddhi is active and buddhi is being driven by Krishna, then yes, the Atma then understands itself as a servant of Krishna, and that's the real ego. So we can extrapolate it like that, but it's not directly mentioned. That's my point.
Yeah, and further question in that regard. So now when all these are elements, like material elements,
Yeah.
so the self itself, what is it? Is it the material element or is it the
Atma?
spiritual element?
No, Atma is a spiritual element. Right?
So, but there is no further description in the Bhagavad Gita.
In Gita it is. So Krishna first describes in 7th chapter what is, who is he, and what is Atma, is his energy. But then it's conditioned with these 8 elements. So Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, earth, water, fire, air, ether, manah, buddhi, ahankara, itiyame, bhinnaha. He tells these are my bhinna prakriti, which is separated energy. So material energy is Krishna's separated energy. And Atma is already talked about before, that this is higher energy. Yeah, it's part of spiritual energy. But right now, Atma is identifying itself with matter, which is lower energy, and that's why we are conditioned.
Okay, fine.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu, somebody raised their hand.
Prabhu, I just love the way you started out with your lecture, consolidating that there's a higher purpose in this life because it can't be chance, and then that intelligence needs to be tied or locked to this purpose, otherwise it's misused basically,
Yes.
or wasted.
Yes.
So let's say more wasted on activities. And I found myself also recently just doing my work and then looking forward to go to the sauna for once a week and eat in a nice restaurant, and that was about it. And then I had this idea, because sometimes then you think, okay, what can I endeavor for that makes me more happy? And then of course the bank balance comes into play and all this. And you mentioned this iPhone. Is this the voice of Krishna's voice?
Yes.
Does he want me to be famous and rich, or
Yeah.
what was the actual thing? And I thought about this verse in Nectar of Instruction, where it is about over endeavor
Yes.
and over collecting things.
Yes.
That's an obstacle to devotional service.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of sometimes I found myself, that's true, that if something feels like you have to over endeavor for it, it can't be really for devotion, a good thing for devotional service. But at the same time, the other way also, not endeavoring is also not very.
Yes.
So can you give some inspiration how to endeavor without over endeavoring?
So today morning we were discussing about it. The purpose of life needs to be very clear. Right? That has to be the driving principle of life. We all have drivers in life. Right? In this example, Buddha is the driver. Buddha is sleeping, so senses are driving. If Buddha is awake, then the purpose of life is very clear. Right? Buddha is driving it, and then everything else, they're passengers. They're there. All the desires which are there, I want to achieve this, that, whatever. We can't make a proposition that yes, we are just hammering on ahur, maithuna. Our proposition is not that don't eat, right? You need to eat, for sure. So that was this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam also, which I just quoted. Kamasya nendriya prītir lābho jīveta yavata. The meaning of that is you need to struggle just enough, right enough, so that your health is good. Lābho jīveta yavata. You need to take care of it because you have a good instrument. So we are giving the example of having a rented apartment in the morning. If someone is living in a rented apartment, you don't invest 100,000 euros on it, right? You take care of it, you clean the bathroom, you clean the kitchen, you make sure the floor is clean and tidy, but then you don't invest, you don't over-invest, right? You do just take care of normal things, whatever, and it looks nice, tidy, you can live. Why? Because you know at some point of time you're going to leave. It's not yours. It's a rented place. So that's what we are right now. This is a rented place, let's say. It's a temporary place. Now you do just enough so that it looks nice, tidy and clean and it's presentable, but not to the extent that you're investing 100,000 euros on it. Right? So that over endeavor needs to be then, again, has to be, because everybody has a different way of outlook. So the best way of figuring out what is over endeavor is always sitting with the person with whom you trust and get their guidance. Because some people are heavily intellectuals, let's say. They need a lot of reasoning and some people are not, perhaps, let's say. So for a person who is extremely intellectual, just thinking about some verses of Gita for next 2 hours is perhaps okay for them. It's not over endeavor for them. Somebody who is not having that kind of capability, if we made them to go through this, that is over endeavor. So this has to be put in context, and we need to be, because life is different for different people. We can't put like, okay, this is the formula for everyone. We can't make that. So the best thing there is always having a mentor, somebody with whom you can sit down and then go through, okay, here's the situation, this is how I'm thinking, is this right, can it be a better situation? Because there can be always a real objective, like Prabhupada, George Harrison was being pestered by everybody else, you should also become a brahmachari, you are a materialistic person. So George Harrison became really concerned. He goes to Prabhupada and asks me, Swamiji, should I also be like these people? What is my purpose? Because he was being questioned of always going, pop star, and Prabhupada says, no, this is your service. This is how you should serve. So that cross-checking should be there always. So for George Harrison, it was not over endeavor. If I don't know, if somebody is a musician, you have to first become George Harrison and then do the service to get a guidance a little bit. Right? That is this the right path for me? Is this how I should, you want me to grow in life and become Krishna conscious and contribute to the mission and the movement? So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yes. Any last one question? No? That's okay. Somebody raised the hand.
Krishna, can you hear me?
I can hear. Yes, I can see you also now. Hare Krishna.
I would like to connect to this question in a way, because we're speaking a lot about don't misuse your intelligence,
Yes.
or not using the capacity we have.
Yes.
But how can we find the way which is expressing this intelligence in the best form?
Yeah.
Because there are many ways to go.
Yes, for
on
sure.
this,
So first, when you ask the question of who am I, which is the first question of life, buddhi gets triggered, and eventually you find your sources of answer and you start practicing it. And you start getting an answer for who am I. And that's when you can start asking question, what is the purpose of myself then? Yeah. It can't be the first question, what's the purpose of my life? Yeah. So when you understand who you are, to some extent at least, and then purpose starts becoming more clear. It's like, did you already disconnect everything? Oh. It's okay. If you come tomorrow morning, we'll watch a 2 minutes video, and then we can dive deeper. But you see, you need to know first what is the instrument for. Let's say you buy this. I'll come back to the mic example. Let's say you have this. You need to first know what is this, right? What is this? And then you need to start understanding, okay, this is a mic. It's used for basically amplifying your voice, right? And then you figure out how to use it. So first you need to know what is it. Yeah. If you don't even know what is it, I can use this, for example, any creative answers, what can I use this for?
Hitting.
And throwing it. Okay. Massage, somebody said, just do this. What else? I can use it as a table tennis racket, bat, whatever you call it. Right? So, yeah, maybe hundreds of different uses can be. I can use it to maybe make holes in, take nails and. So, perhaps are not the right usage of it. You can perhaps use it as a hammer, but is not the right usage, I guess. So first thing is figuring out what is this. So you need to really figure out, what are you, who are you, and then once you figure that out, or at least start that quest, purpose starts becoming much more clearer. Like, what should I do now? Somebody is having the desire to become a singer, an artist, somebody who is really good with dancing skills, or somebody wants to become a philosopher, somebody wants to they like to do deity worship or cook or whatever. So these things are there. Of course we can start to detail our propensities, whatever we have, but your real identity is that which eventually gives you this conviction. Yes, I am really happy doing this because that's my prakriti. This is my nature. Right? And that's when it becomes contribution also, because you are in connection with your inner nature. You're doing things which are helping you to be Krishna conscious and also contribute and also become very happy about what you're doing. So it's a process. You won't perhaps get the answer tomorrow morning, but if you come, you will get a bit more ideas maybe, and you will get to watch a video. Okay? Thank you so much. So we end there. Really thank you from the core of my heart. Thanks so much, Nilambara Prabhu and Ashwati Mataji for hosting and letting me come here and serve you all. Very grateful. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Janamali Subhadramaya ki jai.